Ever wondered why Titanic was never removed from water and brought on surface? It turns out that raising the infamous Titanic would be almost as futile as rearranging the deck chairs on this doomed vessel. After almost a century on the ocean floor, the Titanic is apparently in such terrible shape that it wouldn't be able to withstand such an endeavor for several reasons. And then there are those who argue that regardless of how ship-shape the Titanic is today, committing to such a task would definitely be highly unethical. The Titanic was quite a massive deal when it had launched on April 10, 1912, on its maiden voyage all the way from Southampton, England, right to New York. Boasting a length of almost 900 feet, a height of 25 stories, and weighing a whopping 46,000 tons, this was the most significant mobile vessel that was ever built at the time. 4 days later, the Titanic had struck an iceberg, which resulted in more than 1,500 lives lost, with scarcely more than 700 survivors. The wreckage on the ocean bed lay completely undetected for decades, right until 1985. That's when a team of scientists that were led by oceanographer Robert Ballard was able to locate the shipwreck about 13,000 feet below the surface of the Atlantic, almost 370 miles southeast of Newfoundland. In September 1985, Robert Ballard had wanted to experiment with robotic submarines, a new kind of technology that would then be used for searching for sunken battleships and submarines. He had even reportedly asked the U.S. Navy to allow him to try to locate the Titanic with all this new technology and was granted permission to proceed. People wondering if the Titanic was ever discovered can be assured that Robert Ballard found it after just 2 weeks of searching at a depth of about 12,500 meters beneath the water. Following undersea ventures discovered that not only was the Titanic in a heavy state of decomposition, but it had even split into 2 pieces. A heavily damaged part of the hull located on the starboard side of the bow had provided evidence that the collision with an iceberg was incredibly severe. The discovery that the Titanic was in several pieces made an intact recovery impossible. Still, news of this ship's condition did not stop adventurous minds from coming up with various ways to bring it back to civilization. Many had ranged from seemingly feasible to even using cranes mounted on salvage vessels. Others were almost ridiculous, like filling the Titanic with ping-pong balls, attaching helium balloons to the hull, and even freezing the ship like an ice cube until the wreck would float. Many people had proposed inflating large balloons just beneath the Titanic, which would supposedly help raise it to the top. However, the problem was that the balloons would have to be inflated at the correct speed and then raised to the surface at the right speed. This is because extreme pressure could easily lead to the ship disintegrating. The most successful operation had taken place back in 1998 when a company known as the RMS Titanic Incorporated on board the salvage vessel Abe had managed to raise a 20-ton, 300-square-foot section of the starboard hull that had allegedly broken away from the ship on impact about 86 years earlier. The recovery team even brought back some 5,000 artifacts, which included jewelry, toys, dishes, as well as pieces of equipment that were used on the ship. So far, salvaging expeditions haven't really been able to bring back anything bigger than the hull slab, which is part of a major Titanic exhibit at the Luxor Hotel and Casino located in Las Vegas. Oceanographers have also pointed out that the hostile sea environment has wreaked complete havoc on the ship's remains after almost a century beneath the surface. Saltwater acidity has since been dissolving the vessel, compromising its integrity to the point where most of it would crumble if tampered with. Microbes are responsible for the rusty stalactite growths on most of the hull, which is particularly visible on the deck railings, and have also eaten away at the ship, further weakening the entire structure. In 2016, scientists had also discovered an organism known as extremophile bacteria that's been much more aggressive in destroying whatever is left of the Titanic, leading some to officially conclude that the entire ship will be completely dissolved by 2030.